Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about American politics. And we're going to talk about Anne Applebaum's pretty amazing statement that recently came about Republicans no longer Republican. Here's what Anne Applebaum said, and then I want to talk about it. So Anne Applebaum, very respected political pundit, and she went on, one of these shows, and it was a Zoom, and there was a host, talking to her, and he was like, "Hey, I really see a strong anti-European sentiment happening on the conservative side," and she said flat out, she's like, "Yeah, Republicans now have an anti-European sentiment." And then the host said, "Okay, so how long do you think that's going to last, right?" And I think he was expecting her to say, "Oh, well, it'll last until Trump is done, and then we're probably going to swing back to a Democrat vote or to a Democrat party, and then it will end there. So until Trump is finished with this second term, right?" But she said, "Oh no, permanently." Right. So Anne Applebaum said that she believes Republicans now have an anti-European sentiment permanently. That's a pretty astounding statement. And I think she is dead on correct. I think she is absolutely correct in saying this. And the reason why is I think on the Republican side, people are like, are they really our allies, right? And I'll tell you right now, France, most Americans understand that France is not really our ally. Technically, they're our ally, but they throw a lot of smack, like just a lot of insults our way, a lot of indifference, we just don't feel any love from France, right? America, like French people just don't project any love for America. And we're like, hey, if you guys, if somebody attacks you, we're going to show up. But Americans, especially Republican Americans, no longer believe for 1 second that Europe would show up to help us, or that it would even matter if they did, right? You're like, what we really realized under Trump is that you guys have been expecting America to sweep in and rescue you from Russia whenever Russia's attacks. And you've doubled or tripled all of you have doubled, tripled, or even 10x'd your military spending because you were relying on America. And because you did that, you couldn't even help us if we were in trouble, right? And we don't even know if you would. I believe the UK would help us, right? But I don't believe that that the UK military would even make a difference against any significant attacker, right? Like, you're gonna throw crumpets at them, like. I just don't, and all across America, we're like, oh my gosh, for like 50 years, Europe has just been doing, Europe has really been lazy, not spent any money on their military, not really worked on their military, and their militaries are weak and useless. So we don't believe that they would be willing to help us, and we believe that even if they were willing to help us, they've neglected their militaries for so long that their help would be worthless, right? And then we get a lot of insults from them, and they insult us. They're like, "Oh, you guys don't have universal health care?" No, of course we don't have universal health care. And when the plague broke out, who created the vaccine? The UK? No, nobody needed. Like, America created, we literally did it in warp speed, right? Like, you guys, you pretend you have better, but when crisis hits, US is always the one to solve it, right? So we don't really have any allies because these allies are like, we're your ally, and you're like, dude, you're not able to do anything, right? So what is your allyship worth, right? And then there are countries like France where you're like, oh no, you're not even, like, you don't even give us basic respect, right? Let alone allyship, right? And so I thought this was a pretty astounding statement. I think Anne Applebaum is 100% correct. I think Republicans have an anti-European sentiment permanently. That's a huge change in the world. And it's on these European nations. They should have paid for their own military. They should have made their military strong and not relied on America to sweep in and save them when Russia showed its fangs and claws. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.